Hi, and welcome back. In this lecture, I will go over the different steps of story mapping and how we can apply it to create the stages and the steps of our customer journey. The easiest way to go about story mapping is to split it into 3 distinct steps. Step 1 is about mapping all the stages and steps that the customer journey will encounter. This information that you can uncover through observations, interviews, workshops, user tests, etc. Step 2 is about mapping all the user tasks that happen under each step. And finally, step 3 is about defining what user tasks should be a part of the MVP and what should be part of the second or third product increment, and so on. Let's again use a practical example of going to the office. So imagine that we service designers have been tasked with drawing the ideal customer journey of waking up and going to the office. Starting with step 1, which is defining the key stages and steps. The first stage is waking up, which consists of 2 steps. These are getting out of bed and tidying up the bedroom. The next stage is to do some morning exercise. And here I only saw 1 step, which is a fitness session, but perhaps that some of us might still go for a run afterwards. Next up, we have the personal hygiene stage. In here we have 2 steps, which are showering and taking care of face and hair. And after that, we have dressing up stage. And here I saw 2 distinct steps, which is putting on clothes and doing a mirror check, just making sure that you look presentable. It's now time for the next stage, which is having breakfast. Here I essentially saw 2 steps, which was eating breakfast and checking essential info, like reading the newspaper. Now it's time to prepare our bag before going to work. And the final stage is actually driving to work, which consists of 2 steps, and these are doing the final checks and moving and driving to work. That's step 1 of the story mapping exercise. Let's now move to step 2, where we go a level deeper into the user tasks. I'm not going to go over all the user tasks, but you can see on the slide that we can really describe what the user is actually doing in each step. Take the putting clothes on, for example. Here we put on underwear, socks, pants, belts, suits, etc. This step is quite important for the service designer, as it should be a representation of the target concept of the customer journey map. It's the presentation of a perfect morning routine. In the next phase, we will define what the MVP looks like. To make the concept of an MVP more tangible, let's assume that this whole list of tasks takes about 1 hour and 30 minutes. But now you notice that you overslept and you only have 40 minutes left to get to work. Now that means that you have to drop some tasks, because we want to arrive to work on time and with a reasonable scope. So at least we need to be wearing something presentable. If it were up to me, I would draw the MVP line as you see on the slide. So what's above the line is what we should do first, and what's below the line is what we should do if we had more time. As you can see, I focus on the most important tasks and left out the ones that are not needed in the first product increment. By removing steps, we see that also many of the steps can be skipped, such as tidying the bedroom, the fitness session, showering, mirror check, eating breakfast, and checking essential information. Other steps are still needed, but they could include already less tasks. The ones that remain are either technically required, think of driving to work or getting out of bed, or are non-negotiable in terms of the value that they bring to the customer. I, for instance, will always make sure that I am secured with the seatbelt in the car. This can just simply not be dropped. To make a roadmap of increments, you do the same slicing exercise with the other tasks and put them in separate product increments as well. So if we translate this back to our morning routine example, we could get something that goes as follows. Let's say that we overslept again, but we still have 1 hour left instead of the meager 40 minutes. It's not quite enough time to execute our ideal morning routine, but we could still add some user tasks to it. I would, for instance, consider the showering step to be included again. So this could be our second increment. And you do this again for the third increment, which could be the breakfast, for instance. And you have to do this again and again until you achieve the full morning routine, which is our target concept. You have to understand that there is no real framework to making these decisions of prioritization. It's based on a mixture of customer value, business value, and technical complexity. As a service designer, we need to participate in this type of exercise and to ensure to represent the customer's interests as much as possible. And voila! I hope that I was able to give you a better understanding of how story mapping works and how it can be applied to identify target concepts and also the MVP. In the next lecture, I will cover a real-life use case to make things even more practical. And I will also introduce a small project to help you solidify your freshly acquired knowledge. See you there. Bye.